Well, hello there, traders and investors. I'm L.A. Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, doing it from a neoclassical perspective, and that means each night we ask ourselves, what happened today? What might it tell us about the coming ones? Do the show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday, broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube, and it's on the channel L.A. Little. And if you haven't subscribed and you want to, just reach up in the right-hand corner and do so. Anytime I push content, you'll get a notification. As I said last night, we're only doing 4 shows a week now. We're not doing the weekly show. We're wrapping everything up into the daily show now. So if you are wanting to know weekly type stuff, we'll mix that in as we go. As far as what happened today, let's take a look at the numbers here. You had a spike up on the dollar, but it really wasn't the dollar that was moving things as much as just the fact that the gold market had gotten set up for a bigger fall. And as you can see here, gold and silver hammered hard. 5% on the silver market, 3.5% on the gold market. This is probably the biggest drop you've seen now, I would say in at least a year or so. I haven't gone back to look at it, but it's been quite a while. Rest of the market hung in there pretty tight. You had bond sell-off as well. Oil was down, but it popped up after the close today. Oil drawdown on the inventory numbers that came in. Expectation is tomorrow you're going to see the same thing on the API numbers. And oil pops up, is pressing against 50 again. Overseas, DAX, CACs up pretty big today. They did give some up after hours. Swiss market also up. Dollar, as we said, up 0.5%. It was up bigger. The euro actually flipped around pretty good. Asia just kind of hanging in there. Let's look at the first thing here is the VIX. I don't watch the VIX that much in terms of any kind of trading tell, but it was kind of interesting the last couple days. Even with the market selling off, the VIX couldn't rise, and that tells you just how much fear there is out there. Because it is kind of a fear index. Here's the dollar. Dollar pops up, gets over a swing point high, 24.84, closes at that price point. So tomorrow it's going to have to get back over it and stay over it. It does have the volume today. My guess is tomorrow it will test again. It doesn't have the volume on this swing point high though, and so that's what's giving it the trepidation here in my estimation. Can it get over this? We'll have to see tomorrow. I don't think we have a good tell here. It's still in that big range, and that range has been going on for a long time, and the currencies typically do this. The dividing line is right up in this area. You can see it has a ways to go to get back up there. It tried to get over it once before. When I say it's a dividing line, I'm talking about between the tops and bottoms of this range. And so that's kind of the middle point. That's where it's trying to get to. It's around 25.15. At this point, hasn't been able to get there in a while, but we'll see if it does. Going to that silver and gold market, let's look at the damage here. Here's the silver market. You see expansion in volume, and that's because it starts breaking swing point lows, not only here, but on multiple time frames. If you'll see the swing point low, well, actually it didn't actually print. It only had 5 bars on the weekly, so it didn't quite get the print there. So it's not multiples. What it's doing, though, is it's coming back into an area that's probably going to get bought. You see these bars here? You're looking at volume on this bar and this bar with respect to this. Now, this bar is what it's coming into now. And the volume, of course, we're only 2 days into the week, so the volume, you can expect it's going to more than double, which is going to put it over that one. So it's going to hit it with enough volume. Now, the other piece of what it's doing as part of this is this breakout broke this swing point high, and it held over it for more than 6 weeks. So that gives you more than 6 bars. And so when you're looking at it from that perspective, what does that mean? That means more than likely this thing is going to find support right in this area here and probably bounce out of here on the first attempt to get lower. That's on the silver market. Gold market looks almost the same. And let's pop that one up. Here's gold. And so gold, you're going to see almost the same thing. Big spike down, volume expands. If you pop this one back over to the weekly, what is this one doing? Well, this one also is coming back into a swing point high. It's this high here. This is not the first time. It actually got under it back over it once before. So it's a little weaker. That means it can get towards the bottom. But what is it doing? It's coming into a difficult bar to break down. That's this one with all the volume. You can see the volume today. Look at the comparison. Multiply this one out. Maybe volume gets up to here. It's not going to be nearly as heavy, it doesn't look to me. Usually, when you do something like this and you break out, which was the case on this in this area, right? It didn't break out here because it had already broken out before, but it did set a tone up here for some period of time. The reason it moved so big today is these are weeks now. You've had that many weeks of stops building up in this area underneath all these lows. I like to call those things ledges. Got underneath the ledge, breaks it, right? Expands, pushes down, no volume, pushes down into a big volume bar. This thing's going to flip around. Came right into it. That's going to flip around tomorrow and probably head right back up is my guess. Or at least that's the neoclassical tell. So we'll see if that happens. Let's go to the indexes now that we've covered all the OX markets that are of interest, because that's where all the action was today. Indexes, where are the indexes? Let me find them here. General markets, where are they? GG, there we go. All right, we'll start with the S&P. Let's take a look at this. And so on the S&P 500, what do? We come back in, we test some more. We've been in this testing mode for some time. What do they keep testing against? They keep testing against this high volume bar. Tonight, you actually got into it and stayed into it. So what do you want to see tomorrow? Well, you want to see this thing flip around and go right back the other way. That's what you really would prefer to see. If you get into this too deep, right? If you get into this bar too deep, pointing out the wrong one. Let's do it again. Let's do it correctly this time. Here's the bar. This is the one. So you get into the bar, you don't have the volume, right? You test into it. This is probably going to try and flip back around. If you do get into this bar too deep, in other words, about a third of the way down, which is about what we did there, then you can expect it to try and push deeper, which would mean it would try to come all the way to the bottom. But we'll cross that road when we get there, if we get there. Right now, it's holding outside this range, and to me, the big range is here with this kind of the dividing line in the middle, and so far it's respecting the upper half of it, trying to stay up there. So that's going to be the test tomorrow is, can you get back into that and can you stay in it? And if you can't, then what are you going to do? You're going to flip around, you're going to go back, and you're going to test the other side again. And that's the testing that has been taking place and continues to take place. If we look at the NASDAQ, on the NASDAQ, we kind of have the same picture in terms of the testing, but the NASDAQ is very different, right? Because you got a bullish retest region that's been holding up here and still is, and you keep testing it over and over and over. NDX has been stronger. If we look at the NDX on that one, we've got it's a little bit stronger, not that much difference, but you can see here it's staying above the highs. Finally, if we go to the Russell, the small caps were pressing down this morning. They got under back over. Yeah, they actually didn't quite get into the biggest bar there. So they're still holding up all right, fading back in. I don't think they tell us very much. Let's look at the world markets real quick, because I think a big piece of what's happening is what's happening over in Europe. Asia is kind of stuck because as the dollar strengthens, that typically hurts China, helps the others. For example, the yen going down is going to help the Japanese market, yada yada, right? The thing that really is important is over in Europe is the DAX, the CAX, the Swiss market that we've been watching. Those are the ones that are driving things. In particular, it's been the DAX, and it's been the DAX because on the DAX you have all of the banking issues that have been worrying everybody. The big bar is here, right? That's the range bar. You get over it a little bit, you get under it a little bit, you get under it a little bit here, you flip right back up into it on Friday. It was on Friday, and then you get a continuation today. It's in that range, holding that range. This still looks okay to me. I don't see anything there to make me worry. What would worry me you know, whether a bull or a bear, is something that breaks outside of the range that continues to leg higher. The real power move today was over in the FTSE, and that's because of currencies again. A big, nice move up. Volume was heavy today, I believe. It gets a spike up. Spikes into that 7115 number. And if we pull over the monthly chart, you can see that's the tops. 712270, it got to 712193 and pulls back. I expect most of this move is probably in now. Matter of fact, you have an ABCD structure. I'll just pencil it out and then we'll calculate it, but it looks to me like most of the move is already over. You got an A point, B point, pull back, right, and then your C, and that actually does look like it's done. What we got here? We got 6115 up to, that's about 300, and did almost 300 on that bar. It's 68, yeah, it's way over it. So it's extended. I suspect this has probably done what it's going to do, and you probably topped out probably today, or at least this week more than likely. The other one is the Swiss market. Let's take a quick look at that one. And that one's still holding in the range, and still in the range, so nothing wrong there. And then let's take a quick look at the CACs. Actually CACs looks a little bit stronger again and holding nicely. I don't see a problem in Europe. Europe looks to me like it's going to try to continue to push higher. The thing that might be a problem for Europe will be if the euro itself starts to move up, and if I pull it up, let's see what that one looks like. So you got a big reversal, volume at the bottom though. You actually had more volume tested. This is going to try to test down again. Yeah, this looks like it's going to try to test down again, and so I don't know that this is over. It looks like the euro is going to trade lower. Let me go back to the dollar then. So the dollar, yeah, so the dollar the dollar looks like it was going to test higher again. So I believe that is what's going to happen. Had a viewer request. Let me quickly take a look at that one, and then we'll pop over and do a wrap. So the viewer request for stock XTLY exactly, and nice big breakout. The question was, should they buy? It looks like it was a buy today, huh? Breaks out over a swing point high. We don't just got the data in today, so we don't have the markings on it yet. Swing point high here was broken. Tested all the way back down, back up, over the swing point highs, over the big volume bar. So the breakout today was probably the buy if you were going to get in, and that was this little area right here was the resistance point if it was drawn in. Once it got over it, right, then it just continued higher. I don't know what the short interest is in this. I haven't looked at it. Don't know anything about this company. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that chart. No, it's a fairly new issue. Yeah, so a lot of times this is what you see. So this is actually a nice setup. A lot of times you'll see, you know, an IPO come out, right? They'll make some sort of a high, they'll pull back, and then when they break out, volume expands, people start to get on board, and you get the continuation, and that's what's happening in this particular stock. So then you have to go back and ask yourself, okay, where can I find an entry? Given that I'm a day late showing this, your entries are going to be on your anchor bars, and your anchor bars look like they're going to be volume bars in that area right there, right? That's where you want to try to get it if it comes back in. As far as the general market and what's happening, let's take a quick look at the S&P one more time. I think the story here is going to be the story in Europe to start the day. And that is that if Europe tries to trade higher, I suspect we're going to go with them. If they trade down, then we're probably going to trade down as well. This is a toss-up tonight, although it does look like it's going to try to push higher. It did look that way last night, but it didn't do it. So tomorrow the pressure is going to be on them. They're back into an area that they should see buyers. They did see it again today. They're leaving tails down here at the bottom. Right, you got one today, right? You had one yesterday, you had one last week there, a small tail on this one, same thing there. Those long tails typically, what is that? That's buyers coming in at the end of the day, and they're pushing it back up. And so smart money supposedly comes in at the end of the day, and if it is that, this looks like it's trying to actually maintain price and probably push higher before it's all over. As I've told you before, I believe in the end this thing does resolve to the top side. That's it for tonight. Have a great one. I'll see you next time. Good night.